Good morning. I'm going to talk this morning about the 6.5 PRC. One of the main reasons that I'm on this subject is I've converted a number of rifles, Remington 700 actions, to accept this 6.5 PRC cartridge. It's actually quite a major undertaking to convert to use a 6.5 PRC. Our gun writers have repeatedly said that this cartridge fits in a short action Remington. It doesn't. It can't. A short action Remington magazine box is 2 and 850. How do you fit a cartridge that's 2 and 960 overall loaded round length in a 2 and 850 box? It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. It can't work. So I'm going to basically explain some of the aspects here. To do it in the magazine box area, we've got to change the magazine box out for a Wyatt magazine box that is described as a long window box for the short action. That gives you the ability to load to roughly 2 and 980 long. The inside of the box is 3 and 100 long. So with that in mind, it's real obvious that now the magazine box doesn't fit the underside of the action, the bottom of the action. So now we've got to machine the action. Basically the loading port cutout in the bottom of the action, we've got to machine the back of it, and we've got to machine the front of it to accept that magazine box. We've got to remachine the feed ramp. We've got to machine the action feed rails. They need to be positioned somewhat differently. All these things have to be attended to. And the cartridge, the 6.5 PRC cartridge, is a large diameter, fairly straight walled cartridge. These straight wall short cartridges are a little bit difficult to get to feed. So the feed rails need opened up for this larger diameter. Otherwise the cartridge, simply being pushed ahead, will not pop out feed rails, even on some of the Magnum, short Magnum Remington 700s that were made basically for the short action Remington Ultra Mag cartridges, or maybe 300 Winchester Magnum family of cartridges. And anyway, those things all need to be attended to. The other thing is, I have found that as a rule, a special follower has to be made. I've had to make special followers so it'll position this cartridge right, so it won't hold the cartridge tight into the right or left feed wall of the action, mostly to the right, because most followers are made to feed the first cartridge. You feed the cartridge into the magazine on the right side, and then the left, and then back to the right. And all these things have to be attended to. The other thing is, some of these stocks, some of these rifles are not deep enough through to stack the 3 cartridges. It may require a washer between the stock and the trigger guard magazine box assembly to get just a little bit more depth, that like 30 some thousandths more depth, so that the bolt will close over the top of a 3rd round. All these things are very problematic, and time-wise, expense-wise, and everything else, in this shop, this is about a $600 conversion to be able to do this. And to me, it's quite an undertaking. I don't think that there are very many people that are doing gun building, gunsmithing work that are honestly capable. I've done hundreds of these sorts of types of conversions to all sorts of actions for years and years. So, in every one of these, one's not the same as the next one. So, what one particular project, one action, it may work dimensionally wise. You might have to change that somewhat to another one. They're just simply circumstances. If it doesn't feed the cartridge quite, you need to make some modifications. And these are the things that are a little bit aggravating, and this is where the time comes in. This is where the dollars come in, and to make these conversions. I think it's a decent cartridge. I think it's a fairly well thought out cartridge. However, it's a real son of a gun because it does not fit in those actions. If you buy an action made specifically for the Magnum round, this is the short action, for the longer Wyatt box, that's a different set of circumstances. But where the problem lies is the conversion of some of these actions. One of the very easiest routes to go is pick a Winchester Model 70 that was the short action Winchester Model 70, current Model 70s that were made for the Winchester Short Magnum round line of cartridges. That magazine box will allow you to load to the length you need. You shouldn't have any feed issues as I describe here. The other aspect is, to do with bolt faces. Somebody has a standard bolt face, it's got to be converted to a Magnum bolt face. Now we've got another expense laid out here. We've got to remachine the bolt to accept a Seiko style extractor, and this is another expense, and so forth. So just exactly how far have we come? We've actually kind of backed up here. We've actually kind of backed up with this idea, and from the standpoint of what fits and what doesn't fit. There are different manufacturers out here that make rifles with magazine boxes, not Remington, but other manufacturers that are selling rifles chambered for that particular cartridge. I happen to shoot and have shot for a number of years a 6.5 by 300 Winchester short action Ultra Mag, and I happen to have it on a Remington 700. So that's one of the very first ones that I changed over and worked on for that particular cartridge. And I did many others years before for our 6.5 Remington Magnum. And really, when it all comes right straight down to it, the 6.5 Remington Magnum that came out in the middle 60s is still one of the very best 6.5 cartridges, irregardless. And the rifles that were built for that at the time were 600, 660s, and 700 Remingtons, and the loaded round length, yeah, it was all done with the 2 and 850 box. You could load around to 2 and 8 1/4, and I bought one of those early rifles in 1968 and used it for years and years. Shot the barrel out, rebarreled it, and still use the rifle. And those particular rifles, everybody that has one of those rifles in those early 6.5 Remington Magnums, they just won't let go of them because they're light, handy, and they're very good rifles. They've been very, very accurate. It's too bad, even with the second attempt by Remington to try and resurrect that in a kind of a spruced up 700 style action, that it still never took off, because that capacity case is the correct capacity case for the 6.5 bore, and it's a very good, smaller, short, efficient cartridge. So there you have it. So if you think that you got a 700, that you can make it into that, yeah, it takes a lot of work to do it if you want to go through the expense. But I think that there are better avenues than going that route.